Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Laughter with your host, Glenn Ambrose.
There I am. Hey, everybody, what's happening? So if you don't know me, I'm Glenn. I'm some guy living up in the mountains of the Dominican Republic, spouting a bunch of spiritual shit. That's who I am. That's what I do. Anywho, let's dive into it. The 7 stages. So yeah, I came across this recently. Honestly, I don't know how. I was poking around looking for something, and I came across this philosophy, mentality, concept, and it's based in Sufism. So basically, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of read the overview of it so you guys get an idea of what this is about, and then I'm going to go through each one. And we'll see how it goes. So there's a couple descriptions. The first one, not a huge fan of, but I think I'm going to read it anyway because it's brief and it can give, like different people resonate with different ways. So it says the 7 stages of the NAFS, which is NAFS. A clear path to improvement. In Sufism, the nafs refer to the self or ego, particularly the lower self-driven by base desires and negative traits. It is considered the primary enemy to be conquered. Like I said, I don't like the wording, but it is considered the primary enemy to be conquered on the spiritual path, which involves purifying the self through a journey of transformation from its lowest to its highest stages. This process involves moving through 7 levels from the tyrannical self to the pure self, which is fully surrendered to God. And each of these NAFs have names that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce because I know that I'm going to butcher them. So you can always look them up. The 7 stages of NAFs, the spiritual journey of purifying the NAFs, is conceptualized as moving through 7 distinct stages. So the first one, where we begin, is the tyrannical self, the lowest stage, dominated by negative impulses, desires, and emotions. So this one where, I mean, look at the world. This to me is why I've chosen to take a broader picture of reality of what's happening on the planet, because this is basically how I see the world. Like, that a lot of people will look at specific problems, specific issues, often politically, right? But in other ways also, and they'll point out the problems with the governments and the problems with politics in general, the politicians, the problems with corporate greed, the problems with you name it, like the healthcare system, the school system, every system we have is just riddled with dysfunction and problems, in my opinion. I think that like I think some people see the problems as like I'm trying to find a way to phrase this without being offensive, because I'm not trying to offend, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm better than others or my way of thinking is better. That's so I don't want to imply that. So, but some people look at these systems and they go, I guess they look at the system and they think, well, the system is okay, but there's a few problems within the system that we need to solve. I think I did a good job with that. I think that was not offensive. I look at it and I look deeper. Like when I see a problem, I look deeper and go, okay, what's causing that problem? Why is that? Why has that problem bubbled up to the surface? Why are we seeing that problem? Are there other problems similar? And I see that there are fundamental problems in the systems, the way the ideology in which they were created, the energy in which they were created, the mindset in which they were created, the mindset of the people or the systems that are in control of these other systems. Like I see it just riddled with problems. It just doesn't work, nor will it ever work. So that's my perspective. So I see these, when I look at these problems, I don't see a few problems that need to be fixed. I see a new system that needs to be created, because even if we were to fix, hypothetically, if we could fix these few problems that that some people see, they're going to find out that there's about 150,000 other ones within that same system. And or if they don't see it, then just wait several years, several decades, however long it takes after we solve the initial problems. Just wait, and there's going to be a whole new batch of them that's going to look just like the first. And it's because the system is created out of dysfunctional thinking. It's created out of this stage. It's dominated by negative impulses, desires, and emotions. So there's I actually got two of these because they were phrasing them differently, and I like that. So the other way, now we're still on number one. The other way this is phrased is the commanding self. This is the lowest state of ego, dominated by base instincts. I think this explains it better. Dominated by base instincts, passions, and selfish desires. The individual is ruled by worldly cravings and prone to immoral actions without hesitation. This is a starting point for all spiritual aspirants. So, see, like that's what I'm talking about. Like, I believe that the systems were created when we were in that stage. And I think collectively we're still coming out of that stage, but certainly we've been in it for tens of thousands of years. It's just we're dominated by base instincts, passions, and selfish desires. I mean, it's one of the ways that I liked, when I heard it phrased this way is like, they're like, if there was a monkey or another animal that hoarded all the food, like the bananas or whatever, and hoarded them all and just let them rot and just got really fat and let the bananas rot, while other monkeys were starving within a monkey society, we would probably dissect its brain to find out what is wrong with it, run all kinds of tests and go, what was wrong with this monkey? There's something wrong with it. But when humans do it, we put them on the cover of Forbes and celebrate them. You know, like, and we're like, they won, they're winning. And then everybody else who isn't doing that good aspires to be them. So like, it's not, you know, this is, we're stuck in worldly cravings and prone to immoral actions without hesitation. It's just that this is just, you know, that's what we're coming out of right now. Where I believe we're coming out of that. You know, this is the spiritual awakening that's happening. Collectively, we're coming out of that stage. Thank God. Let's hope. So let's look at stage 2, get an idea what that looks like. Stage 2 is, the first definition is the regretful, self-accusing self. A stage where the individual becomes self-aware and starts to feel regret over their flaws. Okay, like, and collectively, I think we see that like all the problems are bubbling up to the surface. We're starting to see them. Like we've been, I think people look at the world today and say, "Oh my God, it's gone to hell." Like, look at all the problems in the world. What happened? And it's, well, nothing's happened. It's always been like this. It's just, it's just we're more aware of it now. It's been collectively like this and expanding for tens of thousands of years. You know, it's just when we weren't connected through the internet, we didn't know what was going on the other side of the world. We didn't know what was going on in other societies, but it was dysfunctional there. And then we tend to romanticize the past. So it's like, oh, you know, things were simpler back then, you know, like when you got shot over a card game, like simple like that. You know, this has been happening for a very long time. It's just, it's been isolated, and civilizations, every civilization has fallen because of it. And then what happens? We just create a new civilization with new people based on the same principles, and we think that it's going to be better because like these people, like, I don't know, you know, I'll just give one example. There's lots of possible examples, but one example is that, you know, oh, they're you take a bunch of people that have been oppressed and don't want to be oppressed anymore, and then these people fighting against oppression, and they've just been held down, right? And then all of a sudden they overthrow the current, we'll say, government back then, right? They'll overthrow the current civilization. They'll take over, and they're all good people, and they you know, spread the wealth to everybody, and it's all wonderful for a while. And then decades go on and generations go on, and then now all of a sudden they end up becoming the oppressors, and then that civilization is overthrown. Like, this is because it's been based on the same principles, and we've done that over and over and over and over again. And I don't think we learned very well from our past. But you know, let's cut humanity a break here. We didn't know what was going on elsewhere. We didn't fully know what was going on generations before, and that we're just duplicating it. Quite honestly, I don't know. We're still coming to that realization. I don't think most people are there yet, but so this is, you know, so it just happened again. And then, you know, then we conquered continents, and then we you know, took off. The story is that we took off from England because we were oppressed over in England. So we come to the United States for freedom. And then we find this country, the United States, on freedom, you know, and all these wonderful principles and all this stuff. And then, but really, if you look deep enough, it's all based on the same principles still. So now here we are here, and we don't have another continent to go find. We don't have more land to go conquer. Like, we're globally connected now. There's nowhere, and we're connected in a way that, like, if a large civilization fails now, that affects the entire globe. Like, that doesn't just affect, like, can you imagine if a large country like the United States or Germany or some country just completely folded? Like, it just, the whole world would be in a melee. All currency systems are tied together. It would be, because we're so interconnected, it would be, or if it does happen, it's going to be a major deal. It's going to affect things we can't even imagine. But my point is that this is where we are. And I think that this is part of the reason we're in this regretful, self-accusing, self-stage, is because we've hit the point. Like, people have billions and billions of dollars, like one person. Several companies have just trillions and trillions of dollars of assets. Like, we can't funnel much more money upward and still exist. The people at the bottom still exist. Like, it's the middle class is disappearing. The poor are getting poorer. Where, I mean, sure, we get bones thrown at us every once in a while, but as a general rule, like, we've hit the top of the pyramid scheme. It's all crumbling down because it's built on a faulty foundation. It's built on the principles of the tyrannical self, dominated by negative impulses, right? So we're in this stage of, wow, we're going, oh wow, look, like, this is actually what's happening. The other definition is the blaming self. The ego begins to develop a conscience and feels remorse for its actions. While it still falls prey to its desires, it experiences self-reproach, leading to internal conflict and a budding awareness of its shortcomings. This is what we're starting to see collectively, right? And I think personally, with individuals, this varies. All of these vary, especially the first, like, 3 or 4, very dependent on the person, how much work they've done on themselves, stuff like that. It varies. But collectively, to me, it seems like we're finally coming out of stage 1, which has lasted a long time. And we're coming into stage 2, where we're starting to look around and start going, oh my God, like, what have we been doing? This is really bad. And we're starting to see it. And there's no we can't just overthrow the king and then go replace him and start over. Like, you can't just do that now. So we're kind of held in it. We're kind of held there. And the blame is starting to come out. We're developing a conscience and going, like, oh my God, like, what this world is all messed up. What's going on, right? So this is where we are. So where are we going? We're going into stage 3, which is the inspired self. The self begins to be guided by good thoughts and actions. I'll just go to the other description right away on this one. Number 3, the inspired self. At this stage, the ego receives divine inspiration and recognizes the possibility of spiritual enlightenment. The individual starts to acquire virtues like patience, humility, and wisdom, becoming receptive to spiritual wisdom and insight. That's where we're going. Okay. We've been just driven by selfish instincts. We're starting to become aware of it and go, oh my God, what's going on? Why is the world like this? This is out of control. This is bad. And I think as part of that, we're going to, like we have to become aware of the truth, right? So in the beginning of the blame stage, it's very easy to point the finger at the higher ups that are in control of all these dysfunctional um, structures. Okay. But if we're going to be honest with ourselves, they don't they don't have power over us. Like we are the many. Like they are a reflection of us. The only reason that the top 1% can live like that is because the other 99% allow it. We bought into the system. We just figured this was how it was, and we're seeing it. And yes, we're going to go through that blame of everybody at the top, but if we understand it, this is a societal sickness. This is a societal transformation. This is a societal shift because, like I said, it's global now. It can't I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, I don't know what it's going to look like when the shift actually takes place. And, it's probably going to, it's going to take a while. So it's probably going to look like lots of different things. Now, is the whole world going to just kind of hang together and not completely fall until we get enough consciousness to create a new system and then just allow that new system to take over globally? I don't know. Maybe. Or are parts of it going to start falling completely, just crumbling? And then, we're going to, if it happens that way, there's going to be repercussions and shock waves that go through the entire world when one of those areas falls apart, especially a big one. Are we going to go through that? I don't know, but we're going to go through some aspect of that in humanity to get to the other side, and we have to understand that it's social. Society isn't a thing. It's made up of people. So the problem is actually us. Like, the problem isn't the top 1% because they're not in control, even though they seem like they are. Once we start entering into, I think in stage 2, I don't know how well we're going to see that. Right. We'll start to, but you can, like, I can see how these all blend together. It's not like we're in one stage and then we're in a next stage and then we're in a next stage. They all blend. It takes time. So there's going to be portions of humanity that are still in stage 1 when most of us are in stage 3. And there's going to be some still in stage 1 when we're going into stage 2. And then stage 2 is going to become the dominant. But there's still going to be some in stage 1. And there's going to be even more in stage 3 than there used to be, So it's not going to be like blocks. We're going to go from one and gradually merge into the other, for lack of a better way of saying this, one person at a time. If we've got 5 billion people acting like this, and 2 billion people acting like this, and 1 billion people acting like this, and then we start going through the shift, well, then it's going to be, maybe it'll be 3 billion and 3 billion and 2 billion, like we're going to be merging through these stages. And our job is simply to merge through the stages ourselves individually, because there's no shortcut. Like, no matter how wonderful we think we are, and I know we don't normally phrase it in our brains when we're sitting there going, really, if everybody just thought like me, then the world would be a wonderful place. People need to catch up to me. Like, no, they don't. Like, you need to keep working on yourself. Like, because you're like, if you're that far advanced, you're going to have to be even more advanced so the people behind you can see where to go. Don't wait for people to catch up to you. Okay? Like, don't just sit there and go, well, I'm just a happy, wonderful person, and now I just have to wait for everybody else to catch up to me because the problem is them, it's not me. No, you're part of the problem too. We're all part of the problem. If you're at stage 3, then you need to be working how to get to stage 4. Why? Because that's how evolution occurs. Your own personal evolution and global evolution. That's your job. Your job is not to make sure that stage 2 gets to stage 3. Your job is to work on stage 4. Like, and it's, we all have that. And we'll know that once we're really knee deep in this. Like, we'll know that as we really start getting divine inspiration. That's what leads to this. It says the individual starts to acquire virtues like patience. Listen to this. This is exactly what I just said, right? This is stage 3. The individual starts to acquire virtues like patience, humility, and wisdom, becoming receptive to spiritual wisdom and insight. Did you see those? Patience, humility, and wisdom. That doesn't sound like somebody standing there going, you guys need to catch up. I'm really good. You guys, come on, guys, be better people. That's not humble. It's not patient, and it ain't wisdom. Right? So if we're really in stage 3, we start awakening to these things. And they expand more and more. That's, each stage, like I said, that stage 1 is going to merge into 2, is going to merge into 3. That's true. And as it does that, we are going to be at different stages within each stage. When we enter stage 3, it's going to be all new, and it's going to take us time to adjust to it and navigate to it and learn to live from it and embrace it deeper. Like, stage 3 isn't all of a sudden you have a divine inspiration and then all of a sudden you're wonderful. It's not how it works. It's like you could have a divine inspiration and you can start becoming wonderful, but it's going to take you a while to really implement it into every stage of your life. Right? And every stage is like that. So we have to work on, that's what our work is to work wherever we are. So let's get on to the big thinking stuff. Like, I think, we'll see how this podcast goes, but I think the first 3 stages are really the most important for us right now, because that's where we are and we have to understand them. It's nice to know where we're going, to have a concept. But quite honestly, number 7, you're not going to understand it. Like, neither am I. It even says that you're not going to understand it because it passes all understanding. It says that in there somewhere. So I think the first 3 are the most important to grasp so we can just get our bearings. This is one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast, is like something that's helped me dramatically lean into, I don't know where I am. I didn't really think about it. I guess maybe somewhere, I'm somewhere in 3, I guess. Yeah, I'd say I'm somewhere in 3. Pretty confident about that. I don't know where I am, and I'm not going to try to figure it out right now. I don't know if I'm at the beginning, middle, or end of stage 3, but I'm in there somewhere. I would say I'm definitely not fully through it, but I'm in there. But what this does is it helps me grasp the overall picture of what is transpiring in the world and in our own evolution. And because I have that big picture, then I know what to do when things happen on a daily basis. If I, run across some news about something horrific that's going on in the world, and my brain and my ego wants to go, Glenn, lean into that. That's a real problem, and people are being affected, and you need to stick your nose in the middle of that and try to help things. And most of the time, and it's not that I won't stick my nose in anything. It's just if I do, it's usually a little, because I'm guided to put a little information out, and then I get back out of it. That's not going to be my reality. I'm not going to go backwards and get swallowed up by stage 1 or even 2. I'm not going backwards. I'm not going to allow the news and this constant funneling of negativity to suck me backwards into an earlier stage. And since I know that there's stages, I mean, this concept I've come across just recently, but I've had general concepts similar in my own, through my own insights and through being exposed to other teachings. Beckwith has a good teaching that's got 4 stages that I've liked for years. Maybe I'll read that after. But it's helpful to have the overall big picture. So when okay, this is what's transpiring in the world. This is what I need to be working on. This is what is actually happening globally. So and this is what the solution looks like. So me sticking my hands in there trying to solve a temporary problem that really looks bad right now isn't actually going to change anything, because it's a symptom of a destructive foundation. So I should let it crumble. I mean, of course, we can still serve and help people as we go. I'm not saying that if we can help somebody, we don't help somebody. We can still be of service to people. It's just, I'm talking about mentally and emotionally getting sucked backwards. That's what we want to prevent. We can still donate to worthy causes. We could still even, I guess you could go out on a protest. I don't know. I'm sure you could. That seems to me that you're mentally and emotionally getting sucked into it. And if that particular problem were fixed, then the world would be okay, which I don't believe is true. So, but there's a hurricane going through the Caribbean right now. So that's been, everybody's checking in with me in the DR, you okay? You okay? And we're not really even going to get hit by it, but it looks like it's a bad one. And it looks like it's going to hit Jamaica and possibly Cuba really hard. So something like that, I'm looking into, is there something that I can do to help if it in fact does really cause a bunch of damage over there? So it's not that I'm going to stop helping people or caring about people. That's not it. We have to live in love. We have to take these principles of love and implement them. It says the self begins to be guided by good thoughts and actions. Good thoughts and actions. We can still take good thoughts and actions. It's just that we don't get lost in it thinking that it's going to change the world when it's not. Right? So that's what I find. So it helps me know what to do with different types of situations and how not to get sucked backwards. So yeah, that's why I think the first 3 are the most important. 4 is where some people are going. I know some of these people, they are on the planet. I don't know. Relatively, there ain't that many, I would say, but it's getting up there. It's, these, I I think these people used to be like, there was 6 of them in India, right? Now they're spotted all around the world. There's probably, I don't know, possibly millions, maybe millions. I don't know. Probably, if you take into consideration all the people all around the world that really dive into spirituality, there's probably millions of people at stage 4. Stage 4 is the serene self. A state of peace and balance is achieved. And I don't think it's most spiritual people I know, like socially, just in life, are not there. A lot of them might think they are, but they're not. I think some people think that some people would think that I am there, and I'm not. So let's just read the other version. The serene self. The soul achieves a state of peace and contentment. The inner struggle between good and evil ceases as the individual finds tranquility in God's will. This state is marked by generosity and unwavering gratitude, regardless of life's hardships. So that is where I feel I'm going. Like I feel I'm knocking on the door of that, and radical responsibility, radical honesty says I am not there yet. But I do feel like I'm knocking on the door. And in fact, the last few days have been a leap, which I'm very excited about. But this is where we're going. That takes a lot of work. And that's not just, oh, I went to some drum circles and, and I do yoga every week. This is like some serious, this is like, the way I see this is living in that basically all the time. Could you get knocked even if you're in this stage? Sure, I suppose. But I think getting knocked around is more stage 3. I think stage 4 is when it's pretty, you're going years just boom, just emanating love, just doing the right thing, just regardless, just generosity oozing out of you and unwavering gratitude, just all the time, every day. Like when you're taking a sip of water, you're going, thank you, God. Like just, and I know depending on where we are in the spiritual path, that can be like, like, I don't even know if I want that. Don't worry about it. Wait until you work through stage 3 and you're knocking at the door and you start seeing the possibility of it and you start embracing it and you'll want it. Or we'll be at stage 1, 2, or 3 suffering or something, and we'll be like, oh no, I want stage 4, but we don't fully understand what it is or what it's going to take to get there. It's the evolution. This is all the evolution of our soul. The whole reason that we're in Earth school. Like, this is why we're here. This is why there's duality here on Earth. Everything is dual. This is why there's problems, is because they're poking up, trying to get us to grow and expand through these stages, individually and collectively. So, yeah, man. Woof. I'm feeling the love on that one, man. I just got to lean harder in stage 4. Okay, so let's get to stages 5, 6, and 7. Stage 5 is the pleased self. The self is pleased with what God has decreed. Which I see a lot of similarities between stages 4 and 5. So I think it's just an advancement of it. I, I think it's I think it's representative of what we don't know in these stages because we're not there. Right? Like, I think if we're sitting over here at stages 1, 2, and 3, and we start looking at 4 and 5, and we're going, they're kind of the same. The serene self, the pleased self, what's the difference? A state of peace and balance is achieved. That's stage 4. Stage 5, the self is pleased with what God has decreed. What's the big difference? Well, I think I'm not a stage 4 either, but I'm starting to, like, I can comprehend that there's a difference. I just know that I don't fully understand what the difference is because I'm not close enough to it yet. I don't think I could fully grasp what the difference is, but I do understand that the difference is probably more dramatic than I think it is. I know that I don't know, right? So what's the other definition of stage 5? The content self. The ego becomes pleased with whatever God wills for it, finding unity and harmony in all circumstances. The seeker becomes a beacon of contentment, transcending concern for worldly matters and seeing God's purpose in every aspect of life. So, yeah. And I think that might be a part of it. The seeker becomes a beacon of contentment, transcending concern for worldly matters. So, like, I think that is, as we advance, like, I think, so I think a lot of us are drawn to teachers, spiritual teachers that are in, like, if you're in stage 2, you're drawn to spiritual teachers in stage 3. If you're in stage 3, you're drawn to teachers in stage 4. If you're in stage 4, you're drawn to teachers in stage 5, right? It kind of, that's probably how it works. And I think there are people, wow, I just saw a post on this earlier. And I'm not going to remember the names of who it was, but it was 2 spiritual people. And this one spiritual person who has amazingly insightful teachings, very profound, really, really impressive, in my opinion, was talking about a more advanced teacher in India. And he said, this person, just being in his presence, wakes people up. Many teachers speak and help. He helps just by being, without speaking. And that he's seen many people just go sit at this person's feet and things happen to them, right? That's what I think is they're talking about. And now, don't get me wrong, I think it's even possible with somebody, depending on where you are and how you resonate with a particular person, it might even be somebody in stage 3 might be able to just emanate a little bit and help somebody in stage 2 or 1. It's possible, I think. Stage 4, I think it may even happen a little bit there. It's just not it's not a common occurrence of somebody in stage 4, in my opinion. Stage 5, that's when you're just like, that's when it starts becoming like people start looking at you like you're a saint, like it's, and I don't necessarily mean a saint in the definition of the Christian church, although it probably applies there too. I was thinking more a saint in the context of Indian spirituality, like Yogananda in Autobiography of a Yogi talks about all these different people have reached enlightenment, these saints in India. So, like, I think that's probably where we're seeing these people that we're like, oh my God, they're saints. probably a lot of prophets throughout history, the big ones, not all of them, but the big ones that maybe religions were formed after and stuff like that. I think that's where we start seeing them 5. There might be some that were 6 and 7 too. We'll see. Jesus was probably 6 or 7. My God. So 6, let's go to 6. The pleasing self. The self is pleasing to God. The other definition, that's a little more detailed, says the pleasing self. At this stage, the ego has become pleasing to God. The spiritual seeker not only finds satisfaction in God's will, but also becomes a source of light for others, radiating energy, wisdom, and healing like a true master. Okay, so that's where, so I guess 6 is where it really blows open. I mean, that's when they're able to just radiate light and the energy and heal people and stuff. Like, that's like, yeah, Jesus was at least that. I don't know, maybe 7, but yeah, so cool. Anyway, this, we're so high up on this that I don't know there's too much to talk about because we ain't there. Okay, stage 7, the pure self, the highest stage of complete surrender and purification. I like how they say it, surrender, purification. There's aspects of that in every stage, I believe. So the more detailed, the pure self. This is the highest and final stage, representing the complete purification of the ego. The individual is now the perfect human being, with all egocentric desires vanished and replaced by a state of total devotion and oneness with the divine, complete oneness with the divine. The nature of this stage is often described as a mystery, as it transcends ordinary human comprehension. Okay. Another reason why I'm not talking too much on these. I mean, I can spout some theoretical stuff, but really, it transcends ordinary comprehension. We can't even wrap our brain around what that's like. Fact, in my opinion. So there we are. Those were the 7 stages on the Sufi path of truth. So yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys thought about that. To me, it's very interesting, and I don't know that I'm going to have much of a recap here, because I think I already covered the big picture, right? And I think that that's what I would normally do in a recap. It's that big picture concept, so we can kind of see where we are and where we're going, and then we can use it to decipher and discern what we're going to do with our energy. Are we going to be throwing our energy at temporary problems created out of a dysfunctional system that's bound, that is destined to crumble and fall apart anyway as we transition into this new thing? It doesn't mean that we stop doing good for others. In fact, it frees up when we're not fighting against problems, then it frees up our energy to do more good for people, embody these characteristics of these stages more, focus on ourselves more, not in a selfish way, because that's not how it is. We're all one. As you advance, it advances humanity. That's the only thing that can advance humanity. That's it. We could solve, we could go solve like 5,000 of the problems that everybody thinks is really important on Earth right now, and it would not evolve humanity or us individually. Evolution, like in evolution, we will not evolve consciously, spiritually, becoming more of ourselves. In fact, it would probably delay our evolution dramatically because we would actually think that we accomplished something, which would set us back another 1,000 years. The only thing that's going to evolve us personally and us collectively is by us each evolving personally, therefore evolving collectively. You know, so this is well, I just posted this maybe today. Wow, talk about good timing. It was it's one of my favorite quotes from Ram Dass. It says, whether this is the first day of the apocalypse or the first day of the golden age, the work remains the same: to love each other and ease as much suffering as we can. And as we work on ourselves, that's how it manifests into this world, by us actively loving each other and easing as much suffering as we can on a daily basis. As we evolve, that's what we end up doing. Don't have to quit your job to do it. Just do it where you are, but you got to do the inside work and let that spill through you out into society, out into loving somebody, out into easing somebody's suffering. So there. And yeah, all right. I'll wrap up with this. No, you know what? I'm just getting the thing to leave it as is. So work on yourself, evolve you, have it manifest into love and easing suffering of others wherever you can, wherever you are, and we'll continue moving forward in this beautiful evolution. So thank you guys for listening. That's going to do it for me. Take care. We'll speak with you soon.